Okay, so before we start scripting our tool, I'm gonna go ahead and make some adjustments to our definition. The reason being that we actually want these surfaces that we created here to be as clean as possible. And right now, as our host surface is actually a poly surface, I'm gonna turn this on so you can see it better. You can see this surface is actually made of different ones. Here we have a joint and here we have another one. So what this will cause is that whenever we do an intersection, which could be like these ones we did over here, we are going to have some kinks in our curves, which at the moment of lofting them are going to create also poly surfaces. And although we can create a script that handles this really well, it's always better to try to work with our geometries as clean as possible. So what we're going to do here is to rebuild these intersection curves and create our surfaces in a slightly different way. So the easiest way we can do this is by dividing this curve with points. So here I'm going to go ahead and call a divide curve component. And here we actually don't need those 10 values, so I'm going to right click and set a different number. I think 6 would be okay. And the next thing that I'm going to do is to use these points to recreate my intersection curve. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and call an interpolate component that will do exactly this. Interpolate curve is this one over here. And I'm going to set these points as my vertices. Okay, so now we have recreated those intersection curves without the kinks. I'm going to go ahead and for now delete these two loft components. And I'm going to do the same I did over here for these intersections that I have here. So I can simply select these ones, copy and paste, and I'm going to plug now these curves as my new input. Okay, so now that we have these two sets of curves, what we can do is to do our offset using these ones instead of these ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna do the same for the other one. And now that we have those two sets, I'm gonna build again my surfaces, but we're gonna do it in a different way that will allow us to create much more cleaner surfaces than a loft usually do. So to do that, I'm gonna call an endpoints component. And I want to extract the start point and end points of these interpolated curves. And I want to do the same also for this offset component that I have over here. So here I'm going to copy, paste, and connect this one over here. Here I'm going to go ahead and hide these lines so we can see this better. And what I'm going to do here is to create a line over here, which then we're going to use to create a sweep with two rails component. Here I'm going to turn also on this offset. So let's go ahead and create that line. I'm going to call a line component. I'm going to plug it to the start points of both sets. And then we can use this sweep to rail component. So here I'm going to call a sweep to component, which is this one over here. As my first rail, I'm going to use these interpolated curves that we have created over here. As my second rail, I'm going to use these offset curves, which have the new path adjustment we did in the previous lesson. And as my section, I'm going to use this line that we have created over here. Okay, so this will actually result in really clean and single surfaces for our ribs, which is exactly what we want to start scripting our tool. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same for the other set of curves that I have over here. Again, I'm gonna call the endpoints component. I'm gonna call a new one for this one over here, and it could be for this one or this one, it doesn't matter that here. And again, I'm gonna create a line. And to finish, I'm gonna go ahead and call my sweep to rail component. So my first rail is gonna be these interpolated curves. My second rail is gonna be our offset curves, which is this one. And then these are gonna be our sections. And that's it. We have our second set of surfaces which are organized and clean. So with those adjustments being made, we can go ahead and start building our script. The only thing that I'm gonna do here is to actually bake these two sets of surfaces to our Rhino document. So I'm gonna pick this one, and then I'm gonna right click, select my bake option, and I'm gonna tell it to bake these surfaces on my ribs_1 layer. I'm gonna hit OK. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same for the other one. I'm gonna right click, bake, and this time select the ribs_2 layer. Okay, so I can turn off Grasshopper for now. And if I hide this layer, you're gonna see that we have again our ribs, but this time in a much more clean disposition. And just to check that they are all clean surfaces, I can call a cell surface component. So here I'm gonna type cell surface. And as you can see, all my geometries have been selected, which means that they are all single clean surfaces.